Real Talk is our first segment of our show that we always have here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Real Talk, the segment where if it's on the screen, we're talking about it. And episode 9, let's go ahead and dive in because we've got a lot of, I want to say leaked images, and because they're leaked, we can't show them on screen. And because they're leaked, this could be considered spoilers. So we'll go ahead and say spoilers now, graphic on the screen. You've been warned. We're going to talk about this for the next 7 minutes or so.
Also subject to change, too.
That's very true, because especially with the Chewbacca stuff that we'll touch on in a second.
Yes.
First things first, though, we have some leaked images, and of course, I want to thank our friends over at StarWarsNewsNet.com for making us aware of this information. The fact is, we have images of Finn and Poe not holding hands, but they are in close proximity to each other, and they are on a grassy hill.
I think David is hell-bent that these guys are a little more than friends.
I'm going to be honest. When I saw these leaked images, the first thing I thought of was Anakin and Padme rolling around in the hills of Naboo. And I was like, it's so close to being a great throwback to that scene. I don't think Disney has the balls enough to do it, though. But we get these images, and it's going to kind of segue into another big leak for Episode 9. Big is a relative word. But we can't really tell much from these images, but does it excite you? We're seeing 2 of the leads of the movie, and we're also seeing some brand new characters. Dive right in, guys. You sound really excited about it.
Well, just the environment,
Yeah.
especially one that in particular, they were showing basically these horses that were kind of in costume with
I had a lot of CG markings, yeah.
CG markings on them. So that kind of that's curious.
It kind of looks like the shooting of Sound of Music. Like I'm waiting for somebody to come out and start singing. A bunch of German kids start singing in unison.
I don't know if I saw the Poe and Finn picture.
You didn't see? How did you not? That was the very first thing in the show notes. We got images of Poe and Finn, and then we have it looks like maybe they're royals or maybe they're rebels, but they're on this grassy terrain. They're having to walk up a hill. Jesse mentioned these horses. They have CG markings on the nose.
The only picture that I saw was the set picture where they've got the boat ton of lamps hanging down from the ceiling and. What maybe is the Jedi Temple, that one?
Yep, that's from a week ago. You're looking at the wrong thing. That's okay, though. We've already covered that, David, but thank you for participating. Maybe you can participate in this next story, which is kind of the same thing, which is Chewbacca has to come back to set. Supposedly, and this is, again, a report that we're getting thanks to StarWarsNewsNet.com, supposedly Jonas, who's now the new actor who plays Chewbacca, shot a lot of his scenes for Episode 9 during the shoot for Han Solo, which I question how that could be possible, but nonetheless, seems like the story has changed quite a bit.
The script wasn't done yet, was it?
The script was wrapping. I think the script was in the works, but I think they're saying that JJ had some things in mind where it's hey, if you already got the Falcon built and you got Chewie there, you might as well do it. That's why there's a lot of people saying that this is totally possible. I don't buy. I don't see how they could shoot anything for Episode 9 because, like you mentioned, J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are still working through this script.
Really, no context there, and that Falcon for Solo was a different Falcon than what we're gonna see.
Right. So a lot of it just doesn't sync up. So I'm I'm not really buying into that. I know the reason why people believe this is though because Jonas had to cancel one of his Comic-Con appearances. And so this kind of has everyone being I don't think anyone's really bummed out about a Comic-Con appearance being ditched, but...
Well, I mean, celebs cancel, appearances all the time. I mean, good example, Stan Lee was supposed to be at Wizard World St. Louis when we were there, and he canceled due to health reasons.
I wonder, though, if it's a thing where maybe JJ thought some stuff could be shot, but now, we hear within the last couple of weeks that we're getting Lando Calrissian back in the show. Billy D. Williams is cast. He's going to be playing Lando in Episode 9. Maybe that caused the script to change dramatically to the point where Chewie needed to get his stuff recut, which maybe means we're getting more Chewie in Episode 9 than we were originally supposed to, because Chewie, out of all the original characters, gets the shaft the most. That's just the truth. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this develops. Like I said, I don't think there's anything shocking about the dropout from the Comic-Con list.
Do you think he'll have a happy ending, Chewie?
What do you mean by happy ending?
I don't know. I mean, Wookiees have a long lifespan. Do you think he'll meet somebody new to go adventuring with, or do you think he's going to retire back to
I don't know.
Kashyyyk?
I have an answer
Do you think
to
he's
that.
going to die?
Okay.
His happy ending would be a nice 2 toasty slices of bread with some nice crispy pork bacon and lettuce and tomato on it.
I thought you were going to say a planet was going to come crushing down on him.
No, like a pork bacon sandwich sounds
Pork
pretty
bacon?
good.
See, I want to believe that Chewie is going to live through the end of Episode 9. I don't think you have to kill off every OT character because that's literally killing. I mean, I can be a baby here and say you're killing my childhood, but I really don't think you have to kill every OT character. I would be totally fine with Chewie and Lando surviving the entirety of Episode 9, and they kind of just go off.
They walk off in the
And they
sunset together.
And they just do their own thing. Buddy
double
buddies.
sunset.
Yeah, they're just buddy buddies, and they're going to go out and they're going to do whatever routes they can do. Because at this point, too, Lando's going to be older. He's going to be like playing, late 60s, 70s in this movie. Billy D is like in his early 80s, late 70s. So I'd be fine with those two being able to just have a happy ending, go off in the sunset. There's going to be some reconstruction to the political government, the government of the galaxy, and I'm sure you're going to have Poe or Finn involved with that some way, somehow. Any objection to that? Would you not want to see Chewie live out?
I want to see Chewie have a good ending.
Great.
I mean, he's based off of Lucas's dog, isn't he? I don't want them to kill off Lucas's dog.
Well, and it's crazy to think if you go back through the movies that we have, and then Clone Wars, and then doesn't he make an appearance in Rebels? Like Chewie's everywhere in this Star Wars
A lot of
timeline.
cameos. You could say he's had a lot of cameos.
Yeah, he's
with-
definitely. I know I can see the scene where he's in Clone Wars. He's been everywhere, so it'd be kind of cool to see him go through it all. But at the same point, I thought it'd be really cool to see Luke Skywalker go through all three. We know how that turned out.
Dreams shattered.
I'm not complaining. Let us know what you think. Are you excited by the images that have leaked from the set of Episode 9? Let us know down in the comments below. We can't show you those images because the moment we show you those images, our episode gets taken down. We get slammed with a copyright issue. And honestly, it's not really worth getting sued over. It's just not. It's not worth it. Real quick. The Millennium Falcon is in Episode 9. We've confirmed that. We had that image of the Millennium Falcon in the woods.
Did we not expect that?
I think we all expected to see the Falcon. It's just kind of cool to see a built Falcon in the woods because there's a lot of people thinking Endor is going to be in Episode 9. Weren't you just saying how you wanted Endor back in Episode 9?
No, you were complaining to me that you thought Endor was going to be back.
Oh, that's how that conversation works.
tasty teddy bears.
There's a lot of people thinking it's either going to be Kashyyyk or it's going to be Endor.
I'd be happy if we went back to Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk would be actually interesting because
Why?
Because there's story for it. At one point in time, Han and Chewie went off on kind of a rogue mission to help the Wookiees out on Kashyyyk and everything. So I think that was in the Aftermath books.
Well, yeah, I kind of wanted you to be like, oh, remember the life death that we didn't see in Solo: A Star Wars Story?
Maybe that's where Chewie gets his happy ending. He gets to go back home with all his formerly enslaved Wookiees.
See, now you're starting to make this inappropriate.
And he's also bringing back a substantial food source in the form of porgs.
I think Kashyyyk is a legitimate.
My heart.
I think Kashyyyk is a legitimate option because of the history there with Chewie, and maybe the rebellion needs, because I don't think it's the Resistance anymore. I think it's the rebellion. That's how they were being referred to throughout Last Jedi, is the rebels. They need a military force. Maybe they're able to get the Wookiees to join in arms. And how cool would that be to have like this grand finale battle and you have hundreds of Wookiees on the battlefield? Something like the battle we thought we were going to get in Revenge of the Sith. Not just like the one Wookiee shaking his arms, like an actual like Wookiees like going up and like grabbing people and ripping their arms off and like biting their necks.
Oh, like we got in Solo?
Yeah.
Dropping them on their head.
But see, that was a malnourished Wookiee. That was
Chewie.
that was a Wookiee not to his full potential. Well, yeah, he ripped the arms off a droid, right?
He took a guy, flipped him upside down, and smashed him on his head.
Oh, that's right. That is what that movie did, right? That movie was so great. I wish more people would have gone and seen it. Some people, interestingly enough, think that the Falcon is on this wooded planet called Batu, which would be the homeworld of a Mr. Thrawn. And I'd be curious to think what you guys think about that speculation, because I just don't think that they're going to put Thrawn on the big screen, even though I would really want that. I think Thrawn is a villain that could have actually elevated the sequel trilogy, could have been an actual threat, a true opposition to our Rebels. I don't know if it's going to be possible. What do you think, David?
There's a rumor that Richard Grant, who is cast in this movie, but we don't know in what role, that he'll be playing Thrawn.
Right.
I think that might be kind of cool. He was in an interview with somebody, and they called him out point blank and asked him if he was going to do it, and he basically said no. But then he followed it up saying that if he leaked any information, he'd be fired. So...
Well, you actually just took us into our next topic, which is fine. Jesse, do you want to weigh in on that? As far as the fact that Richard Grant is asked about whether he's not playing Thrawn, he's not saying that Thrawn's not in it, but he's saying he's not going to play Thrawn. Do you think that J.J. Abrams brings Thrawn from the books, from Rebels, to the big screen?
If he was smart, I would think he would try to do it because, just the popularity of the character.
Right.
Fan service, and anybody that did see Solo was like, there was a lot of fan service in that movie, and, he may go, that was actually good. And that's what the fan base needs right now. So I would love to see him in there. I would say it's a possibility.
But he can't have a big role, can
But
he?
at the same time, though, we don't know the status of the character due to the end of Rebels. So it's one of those things where it's kind of pending, depending on what we get in upcoming novels. Obviously, with the new Resistance television show. So we'll it's kind of a wait and see, but I would love to actually see the character on the big screen in a live action.
I'm just concerned that it's too late. Like, I feel like if you have Thrawn, you don't bring him in for 9, unless last episode, on episode 43, we were having conversation. Could they take episode 9 and make it 2 movies?
I want it as 2 movies, 100%.
If they did it,
I would prefer 2 movies because we have a whole lot of things to wrap up.
If they did 2 movies, though, Thrawn would be not so much wasted. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you only have one movie and it's 2.5 hours, maybe, let's say at the most it's going to be 2.5 hours, can you really introduce Thrawn, convey how menacing he is, and then resolve a 9-film saga? I don't think so. I think
he would have to make a reappearance, either in the Resistance or in a novel, because you have to build it up to like. He can't just, boom, be there. Because then it begs the question, well, what happened to Ezra?
Well, that's one of my complaints with the prequel trilogy is that Darth Maul by himself is a pretty badass character, but they didn't have any time to develop him into something as menacing as a Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. And then they kill him off. Of course, he comes back. Then the next movie, we get Count Dooku pretty heavily. And then the next movie, first scene, they kill him off, and they introduce General Grievous. All 3 of them are really awesome bad guys, but they didn't flush any of them out in the movies. So I'd be perfectly happy if they introduced Thrawn and then split this into 2 movies.
if they actually do bring in Thrawn, I think the argument for a 2-movie episode 9, that argument is a lot stronger. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And by the way, I believe we got that story from Express. Express.co.uk is where we got that story about Robert Grant. Or is it Rupert Grant? I'm sorry.
Richard
Grant, that's right. I'm sorry. Richard Grant. And just by the look of the guy, he looks like a villain. It'd be kind of funny, though, if he was actually a good guy. He kind of has a reputation of playing villains. Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting if
He's probably a villain.
Someone to help the good guys out. You know, just change things up. Let's go ahead and jump to the next topic here in Real Talk, and that is, again, we're still on this episode 9 talk. We have yet to figure out what is going to be the name of this final installment of the Skywalker saga. And last week on episode 43, if you didn't catch it, we had a conversation also about how we think the episodic movie should end with episode 9, that if there is a next trilogy, which we believe is still in the works with Rian Johnson, we know that there's a series of move with Benioff and Weiss, the writers of Game of Thrones, we'd like to see those movies not be numbered. That should exclusively be the Skywalker saga episodes 1 through 9. Here we have a rumor about what the title of episode 9 could be, and that is A New Order. You hear that. Jesse, you kind of look like you're constipated, but let's go ahead and respond. How do you feel about Star Wars Episode 9, A New Order?
Last Jedi.
Oh, he's going through all the movies. He's going through all the titles. He's thinking about it. How does it flow?
Just thinking how it flows.
Right.
Because, I mean, you've got A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. You know, we've had Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, A New Order. I mean, it does sound like it's got that Swarzy, title to it, but...
They can't do A New Hope again, and that's kind of what we need in the galaxy right now is A New Hope.
If they do A New Order, then by the end of it, we need to see a foundation for a new Jedi Order of some sort.
Well, Jedi Order, yes. We'd also need to see some politics. And I think one argument that you can have about the sequel trilogy is where the prequels had too much politics involved. I think the sequel trilogy has had not enough politics. It's not giving you the true situation politically so that way you didn't really miss those 5 planets that blew up in Force Awakens. You had no investment there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you read like all the additional novels for that time area, I mean,
But the
like,
lay fan doesn't have
you
time to
know
do that.
Yeah, it's just like that Leia was, people found out that she was, Vader's daughter, and people hated her for it, So it was just like, okay, that's that. It would have been nice to actually kind of get some of that on screen.
Yeah.
And really, all we got was a bunch of people seeing a big bright red light and screaming.
Because a laser can bend in space now.
It can.
And it can split into 5 parts.
It's crazy. Something that you reminded me of, I don't know if you caught this in The Last Jedi, but also in the book Bloodlines, she starts doing her hair in a style that looks like Vader's helmet from behind. I thought that was kind of cool. Also, I had this epiphany recently. This is a side tangent. I do this quite often on the show if you haven't caught our show before. A moment that I do now like, and it makes me like The Last Jedi more, Luke met Leia first by a projection asking for help, and Luke's story ends as a human, as like a live person, by showing a projection to Leia answering her call for help. You get it? Like it mirrors the same thing. Like Leia was asking for help, and Luke answered the call, and now she sent out a call, and Luke answered with a projection. I don't know. That was actually like something I thought that was like really well done, and then after I reflected on it,
There were parts of that movie that were really good.
and then there were other parts. So let's dive into the 5th topic of Real Talk. This is the last topic for Real Talk, and so glad you're catching us on episode 44. If you haven't already, comment down below. We are going to do a Facebook Live, I believe, in September. I think we're talking about the 2nd or 3rd week in September. We have our brand new Beyond the Blast Door pins. We showed you those last week. We have an image right now on the screen. It's right here on top of that toy right there if you want to show it off.
I believe, right?
We have the prototype here. This is plastic, but the actual pin is going to be metal. We have 100 of these bad boys that we're going to be giving away, and we're selling them. But we're going to do a Facebook Live, and we'd like everyone to jump on there and join us when we do our grand release. And I think what we'll do is we'll have some like special topics. Maybe we'll have a discussion that we'll have over the course of it. We'll do like 1 hour, and we'll see how many we can sell in that first hour. Every dollar that we raise goes directly back into the show to either upkeep or make improvements to the setup that we have. So this last topic here in Real Talk is Samuel L. Jackson. He wants back in. He wants to come back in for episode 9.
I don't think he's going to come back.
Jesse does not like this idea at all, but he recently, this is a story from metro.co.uk, and I also think that the guys over at StarWarsNewsNet.net StarWarsNewsNet.com had this as well, but he wants back in, and he thinks that there's a way back in. I don't think there is a way back in. I would love to see Mace Windu come back. I always like the EU storyline where he's found somewhere on this like swampy planet, and he's just completely like he looks like he's been like drowned in like water for like 30 years. He looks just like completely destroyed, and he's missing his one hand, and he comes back, and he just, I think it's in a comic here, he like has his lightsaber still, and he ignites, and he goes, I haven't gone anywhere. It was a really cool story. I wish I could remember the comic for the life of me, but I can't. That's what I would like to have happen, Jesse. I don't think that's going to happen, and you don't want this to happen.
No. Here's the thing. I mean, you look at the actual movie. Well, just look at the prequel movies to begin with. Okay, so Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting Count Dooku.
Yes.
Anakin loses his arm. There's that stun factor there, okay, and then he gets blasted with lightning or whatever, and he's out cold on the floor, okay? So fast forward to episode 3, and here's the thing. He would not have his lightsaber because that's the hand that Anakin cut off. So his lightsaber was laying on the floor.
No, I thought we saw the lightsaber topple down I thought it went out the window and toppled down.
I don't think so. I feel like it's like was laying on the floor kind of thing.
We can Google what.
Yeah, you can Google. I'm pretty sure the lightsaber toppled out. Okay, so your theory is still.
So I mean, he's obviously screaming because Anakin just cut his hand off.
Right.
And then Palpatine, who is obviously a more powerful Sith Lord, gives him the full-on lightning treatment. And so my thoughts is he would have been just absolutely just.
Yeah, you're really sucking the fun out of this for me, Jesse. I'm gonna be honest.
Sorry, I just feel
really
like he definitely probably died on impact.
David, could you take Mace? Could you take Mace in episode 9?
I don't think he would fit in the storyline.
He wouldn't at all.
But I love Sam Jackson and anything he's in. And the fact, did you see how he phrased it in the interview? He said, if they call me, I'll show up. Hell, I'm just hanging around just for that. I'd even show up as a hologram or some shit.
I like the part where he was like talking about how he was begging George Lucas not to kill him off in Revenge of the Sith. He's like, George, you know I'm stronger than this kid, right? Like, I could kill him. And it was just like, it just makes me so happy because I can hear Samuel L. Jackson saying that.
Like, I enjoy some of his movies, but I find him somewhat obnoxious as an actor.
Yeah, but he was like out of all of his characters, though, he's the least obnoxious in the prequels because basically George just had him sitting in the council chamber going, this kid's trouble.
He's been going on about this.
This kid is so cold.
Like, it's just like, dude, accept the fact that you're dead.
Well, you know why he has a purple lightsaber, don't you? They got done with the post-production of the movie, and he was over at Lucas's.
Yeah, that's
and
the
he's
thing.
like, Lucas said, how do you like this fight scene when they're in the arena on Geonosis? And he's like, well, I don't know where I am. So that's why they colored his purple. That way he could find himself.
I think that's a great story. It's
a
funny.
great story.
I think it's great. Jesse, don't take it so seriously. Let yourself have some fun.
This is my second favorite role that he's ever had. My first being when he's in Jurassic Parks and he's got the cigarette dangling out of his mouth.
That's probably his best movie role ever.
Butts.
Actually, I like the one where he's in Goodfellas and he does the heist, and then his hooker leaves, and then Joe Pesci shows up and kills him. That's going to do it for Real Talk. If you have any thoughts about Samuel L. Jackson and Mace Windu being resurrected for Episode 9, let us know in the comments below.